Battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got Bob Savage with us.
Hey everybody, Doc, here comes another week.
Yeah, here comes another week. Bob, how was your weekend?
It was nice. It was great. Very summer-like. Got to spend a little time poolside. Went to the Genesee Brew House. They've got a very nice outdoor terrace set up, very festive.
Yeah, we walked by there the other day. We kind of like went across the bridge and everything, and I was surprised they were full. We went up there and we're like, hey, we'd like to get a table. They're like, oh, we're totally maxed out.
Yeah, reservations only.
Yeah, which is great and awesome for them. Although I can't imagine how much business they've had to turn away because of the COVID restrictions. And now, are they doing indoor seating as well, or strictly outdoor?
No, it's all outdoors. So it's a necessarily smaller venue, but they've set up a kind of a party tent. So that has expanded their capacity somewhat. But it's still fun. It's definitely worthwhile. Little plug-ola here on Radio Free New York.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, my weekend was great too. I mean, the weather was just absolutely beautiful. And was very happy. I got a chance to get out in the woods, do a little bit of camping, which is always nice. And then a couple chores yesterday afternoon. I cut the lawn, and I gotta tell you, with the heat that we've had and kind of like not as much rain as normal, you know, I'm emptying the bag, and it's just like all brown. It's
going into dormant. So you like camping, huh? You like going out in the woods?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Okay. Well, not me. My idea of roughing it's when the bar's out of my brand of scotch, and I've got to order some other brand.
Yep. Yeah, no, I have. When I go on vacation, I do enjoy going to different places and cities as well. But sometimes I just like, being out there in nature and just enjoying the hike, enjoying different water features, whether it's a creek or a waterfall or a river or something like that.
Well, you can enjoy the water features and the waterfalls and stuff, but then you get to go back to like a really nice, luxurious hotel with nice linen sheets, where it's all air conditioned.
Air conditioning.
No ticks usually.
Yeah. No, I gotta tell you, at night it was so nice. So I haven't slept in a tent in, I don't know, I couldn't tell you, years. Usually when I camp, I've just got my pad, my sleeping bag, a little waterproof bivvy that I can throw over me if it rains, and that's it. Unless I'm doing hammock camping, then I'll be in the hammock instead of on the ground. So you can kind of lay there, see all the stars and everything. It's really great. And this weekend, the temperature was just so perfect. I didn't need a sleeping bag or anything.
Aren't you worried about critters like crawling into that hammock with you? Some kind of little furry thing?
No, definitely not the hammock. On the ground, I always think about it when I sleep on the ground, because once again, I'm not in a tent. It's just me and my sleeping bag on the ground with a little ground pad. But I've been doing that for, I don't know, 5-6 years. I've never had an issue. Never woke up to raccoons or coyotes or anything like that.
Or liberals?
Nope, no liberals in the woods either. Just me and nature and good sleep.
Well, okay. I wouldn't sleep well.
Yeah, and it's not for everybody. It's definitely not.
It's not. I actually did. I have tried. I mean, listen, I have tried this, and I camped out with some friends in Colorado on top of the Continental Divide. This is back in the mid-1970s, and it's the old. Okay, we're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to go catch our breakfast in the brook. and then we're going to clean and gut the fish and fry it on an open, fire in a frying pan. And, you got the little nylon pup tent there that you're sleeping in with the
Sure.
inflatable air mattress and all that. Well, at that elevation, which is about 11,000, 12,000 feet, during the day in the summertime, it's 75 degrees. At night, it's 18 degrees.
Yeah.
So what happens is the inside of the tent, you get this tremendous condensation from your breath while you're asleep. So the minute you touch that nylon, you have an instant rainstorm and you're soaking wet.
Yep.
So about 4 or 5 days into the camping outing, I said, you know what? I saw a really cute little motel down in Gunnison, Colorado. I'm going to be there. Let's all get together and do some stuff.
Yep.
I'm not doing this camping anymore.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, the coldest I've ever camped, I used to do a fair amount of winter camping too. I think just so that I could say I did it. I don't know if I ever actually enjoyed it because it gets cold. But the coldest I had ever been was up north of Watertown, and the wind chill was negative 23 degrees.
And you were camping in that?
Yeah, we were camping, and it was really, really cold. I mean,
Was it a dare or a bet or something? Or?
Oh, it was just one of those, hey, let's do it. We went out with a guy who is like a survival instructor in Alaska. And it was a good time. I would maybe do it again. I don't know. It's kind of questionable whether or not I do it again. Learned a lot of really cool stuff. It took, no joke, over 2 hours just to get a small fire going because everything was covered in a 1/4 inch of ice. So you had to first chip away, get all the ice off of everything before you could even prepare it to make a fire. We had another time where we were much closer to civilization. It was supposed to be in like the 20s, and it dropped down to like below 8. And in the morning, we woke up, we packed up, we went to the nearest diner.
Yeah.
It was the earliest we had ever been awake, I think.
I point out my previous comment about I'll be in the little cute motel in the nearby town.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and I do have one friend who comes on a lot of these camping trips, and I just think he doesn't sleep because he's never comfortable. He's always, anytime I'm awake, he's already up and about, and I ask him, "How'd you sleep?" Real bad, awful. So it's not for everybody, but I enjoy it, and it's pretty good pastime, I think. Gets you away from all the social media, all the go
Well, that
go
part
go of
makes
work and
sense.
all that.
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so that was my weekend. I'm hoping to have another weekend like that coming up soon, but we'll see if work and all my extracurriculars allow for it. And something that we talk about kind of often on the show is Czech Republic. We and another thing we talk about is guns. So, if those of you who might be listening to the show for the first time, you're probably wondering if this is the camping and outdoor show. It's not. This is Radio Free New York. We're usually talking about news, politics, and how things can be better in life. But my wife is from Czech Republic. I've been there a bunch of times, so I usually get a little bit of interesting stuff from their culture. Well, somebody just passed along to me a news article saying that Czech Republic might have their own Second Amendment, which to me is actually a pretty cool thing because I've been to that country a bunch of times, and me being myself, one of the first times that we went there, of course I go, hey, there's pictures of guns on that building. Is that a gun shop? And they're like, yeah, that's a gun shop. I'm like, cool, let's go. So we kind of go in there, we walk into this place, and first and foremost, the gun shops over there, at least the ones I've been in, have a lot more cool toys than the ones here in New York State.
Yeah, no doubt. I've heard there's a lot of places you can buy full auto in the world.
Yeah.
But and now backing up for just a minute, you say a Second Amendment. Do they have a Bill of Rights? Do they have a Constitution with a Bill of Rights?
You know what? That's a really good question. I don't know if they do or not. I'll have to look. It never really came up in the discussion of whether or not they have a Bill of Rights. I'm assuming they have some sort of constitution, um, because their country was liberated very recently,
Right.
1990s.
Right.
So,
It was two countries, wasn't it? I mean, it was Czechoslovakia,
yep.
which was really created between the world wars, between one and two, and then it was annexed by Hitler, prior to World War II. Then, I guess, under communist rule, there was kind of an uneasy alliance between the Czechs and is it the Slovenians?
Slovaks.
Slovaks, okay.
Yep.
But really, they have pretty much different cultures, is my understanding.
Yeah, they're not so different. Like they're closer than say Czechs and Polish, but they are different as well. Like even their language, even though they were the same country, their language is very similar, but it's not so similar that like they can communicate, but it still can be difficult. Like when we sat there with a Slovak couple, there was still kind of a language barrier there between Slovakian and Czech.
Okay, so it's kind of like Spanish and Portuguese, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, something like that. I mean, a lot of overlap, similar accent, a similar alphabet, I think, but just enough differences to still make it difficult. So, guys, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about guns in Czech Republic and what this Second Amendment might be for them. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Catch a wave at Waldameer.
Waterworld opens daily at 11 with a giant wave pool, water playgrounds, relaxing river, and exciting body and tube slides like the incredible new 6-lane Rally Racer. The Rally Racer is the longest, fastest slide in Waterworld. Come experience the excitement as you race your family and friends. And Waldameer opens at noon with a variety of thrill rides and family rides like the exciting new Whirlwind spinning coaster. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, Waldameer is limited to 50% capacity, so there's no free admission. Guests must purchase admission tickets at waldameer.com or at the park. Children under 1 are free. Face masks are required. So visit waldameer.com, purchase your admission tickets, and come have some fun.
Catch a wave, catch a day at Waldameer. Your wet and wild summer getaway. Excitement waits for you at Waldameer. Waldameer in Erie, PA.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Just before we took break, I was telling you guys about the first time I had walked into a gun store in the Czech Republic. And I walk in, and there's walls of all sorts of different guns, and most of which you could not purchase in New York State at the time. This was like right around when the SAFE Act passed, I believe. And I'm sitting here, and so I'm starting to have a conversation with the guy who owns the shop. My wife's translating back and forth. And so, I asked the question, like, oh, so can anybody buy these? And he didn't really understand the question, and so they're kind of like going back and forth, and he's like, well, if you're not a Czech citizen, maybe this or that. And I'm like, no, like, I mean, like a Czech citizen, somebody who lives here, like, can they just walk in and can they buy these? And he's like, oh yeah, like of course, yeah, some of the guns, you have to get licensed and prove proficiency for, but if you have the license, you can get those too.
So what was the licensure for? Was that for semi-auto or full auto, or what was that about?
So based on, and once again, a little bit of barrier translation, but my understanding was like fully automatic firearms required a license from their equivalent of like a Homeland Security, and you had to prove like proficiency and stuff like that to get that license.
So strictly safety and competency.
That's what it appeared to be. Yeah, and it appeared to be there was like a written exam that you had to take for it. My guess is to make sure that you understood the law before buying something fully automatic. But that was it. He's like, oh yeah, like you can buy anything in the store. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we started having a conversation, and he was like, oh, you've never shot a Czech gun before? I'm like, no. And so he starts explaining to me like the history of, Czech firearms throughout various wars and their local production and stuff. It was really cool. And he hands me a pistol, which, by the way, in New York State you can't do. If somebody doesn't have a pistol permit, the guy at the gun counter is not going to hand you a pistol. It's they get in a lot of trouble for that. Here,
well, one of our advertisers here on our flagship station, they don't want you in the store without a permit.
Yeah, it's crazy because they can get in trouble, and they don't want to be, shut down by the state. So, but yeah, here I am, Czech Republic, guy just hands me a gun, and it ends up being a CZ75, which I later end up, when I go back to the U.S., I end up buying one. And that's actually the gun that when I shoot USPSA, I shoot a CZ75.
Okay, what's the caliber on that?
That one's 9mm.
Okay.
They make them in all different sizes.
I'm sorry, so it's a pistol, or is that a semi-auto rifle? Okay.
Yeah, but they do make some pretty cool rifles. Actually, I did some shooting at the firing pin over in Bergen, and they have a CZ Evo, I think, or a CVC Scorpion. I can't remember, one of those two. Got a chance to shoot that. You can rent it. I forget what the rate is.
And of course, you're limited to 10 rounds, of course, in the mag for the CZ.
So, and that's a problem because the CZ, their standard build for that pistol is 19 rounds, I think, or 18 rounds maybe.
Only because that makes sense.
Yeah. So right out of the box, you gotta they can't even sell it to you with the magazines. So when I bought it, I think it came with no magazines, and then I had to spend extra money because of New York State to buy modified 10-round magazines from like a third party, and So
you didn't have to go to a gunsmith anyway.
No, I didn't have to go to a gunsmith, but I had to get the neutered magazines. So
the little girly magazines. Because, of course, as we all know, it would never occur to you to have a spare mag with 10 more rounds.
Yeah, I mean, who thought that was an option? You could just carry more mags, and that's exactly what I do. But yeah, so it was interesting to me to hear after this point that Czech Republic was talking about having their own quote unquote Second Amendment. And so I was interested in hearing like what's going on. So I did a little bit of research. And actually, Bob, you had asked earlier before we went to break if they had a Bill of Rights. And what I've got here, actually, Matt on Facebook posted this, and I also found it. They have a Charter of Fundamental Rights and Basic Freedoms.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. There's some stuff in here that is interesting. It's like 13 pages long, so I'm not going to read it. But check it out sometime. Search hold on, let me read exactly what the name is again here for you. The Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. It's one of the things that jumped out to me, and now I'm going to have to paraphrase it because I don't have it right in front of me. But it basically says, everyone, oh yeah, here it is. Everyone may do that which is not prohibited by law, and nobody may be compelled to do that which is not imposed upon by law. So the thing that's interesting about that is by default in their quote unquote Bill of Rights, they're saying you're allowed to do everything unless it's illegal.
Right.
But whereas in America, I feel like somebody says, "Hey, can you do this?" Like the question is always like, "Is this illegal?" Like, or if you say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this thing," like I feel like people question, "Well, is that even legal?" Whereas here they address it like immediately in their Bill of Rights, like, "Hey, everything's legal except for the things that aren't, but just assume that things are." So that to me was kind of neat because I feel like we live in like a different type of pressure and a different type of look at that in society.
That's kind of the default mode of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, of course, are rights which devolve upon us from God, not government. And then you look at the legalities of the rest of the Constitution. They are, they're basically affirmations of our rights, as opposed to a statement of what rights are granted you under this charter. So ours conceptually was the same, but unfortunately it has been, derogated over the years.
Yeah, no, it's true. And their country is still, call it new, if you will. They got their independence in the 1990s, and that's when Czechoslovakia split into Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. But it's pretty interesting. And when they had that split, they had the Velvet Revolution. They almost immediately passed a law allowing citizens without a criminal history to purchase firearms. So right away, they got their independence from communism, and they knew, especially after being occupied throughout many wars, that what was really, really important for them as a nation to be free was that citizens would have the ability to own firearms and protect themselves. So, fast forward a little bit further then, in 2004, they joined the EU, and the EU, of course, starts pushing stricter gun laws onto the Czech Republic. My guess is this is where some of that licensure came from the European Union laws. And then, fast forward about 11 years, you've got the Charlie Hebdo terror attack in 2015. At first, when I heard that name, I had to go and re-Google what that was. Do you remember what that is, Bob?
Yeah, it was the cartoon flap with the Muslims attacking. Wasn't it a Parisian newspaper?
Yeah, it was a newspaper. Yes, in Paris. Yep. Yeah. So they went in there. They killed 12 people, injured another 11. Two brothers. They went in there with rifles, shot a bunch of people, and immediately the EU kicks in and goes, "You know what we need to do to solve this problem? We need to make guns harder to get.
Right.
We need to make sure that citizens have no ability or very limited ability to defend themselves." And what that resulted in was the European Firearms Directive, which was a law put together or not a law, but a directive from the EU put together that placed new constraints, including pretty much an effective ban on almost all semi-automatic rifles on member states.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, sounds really familiar. So we're going to talk about what that is and what Czech Republic has done in response to this when we come back from break. You're listening to Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a moment.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for today. Going to be hazy, very hot and humid. Temperatures into the low 90s will feel closer to 100, and it will be a gusty breeze out there. Then keep an eye to the sky. Could be a gusty, thundery downpour this afternoon. A few storms into tonight, and then tomorrow, storm early, then clearing and cooler in the afternoon. I'm Rich Cornelia on WYSL.
Heads up, economic hardship, loss of jobs, arbitrary closure of valuable businesses, all brought to you by Democrats. Remember, in November.
The Open Door Mission presents a Mission Minute with Executive Director Anna Valeria Eisman.
Like everyone else, our world at Open Door took a significant turn in March. Schools, businesses, and even community services shut down. People were losing jobs, families were losing loved ones, and parents were playing the role of teacher and employee at the same time. This presented challenges like we have never seen. But something amazing happened. We put precautionary measures in place, but we did not limit our services. We increased them. Although we paused receiving clothing donations, we expanded our food donations and distribution by about 3 times. Although restricting volunteers from coming in, our staff stepped up to ensure all services were carried out without disruption. Although moving some of our guests into alternate locations so our shelter was not overcrowded, we continued to house more individuals than ever before. Throughout this challenging time, God has kept his hand on this ministry, and we thank you, the community, for keeping this ministry on your hearts.
Restoring hope and changing lives. OpenDoorMission.com.
It's Zero Down Summer Lease Special Savings now at the all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor. For a limited time, lease a 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4x4, just $309 a month for 42 months. Zero down. Has diamond black crystal pearl coat finish, 10,000 miles per year, MSRP $37,585, must have Grand Cherokee lease and be returning lessee. There's the 2020 Ram 1500 Classic Pickup in bright white clear coat, just $259 a month. Zero down, 42 months, 10,000 miles per year, MSRP $41,290. Must be Conquest or returning lessee and use 4 Ram bonus coupons while supplies last. Check the 2020 Jeep Compass 4x4 in glistening white clear coat, just $239 a month. Zero down for 42 months. MSRP $29,345. Must have Conquest or returning lessee. On all deals, must have first payment, taxes, and all fees due at signing. And don't forget zero down. Welcome back to the all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor. Save big on America's favorite 4-wheel drive vehicles.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Yes, it's Turnbull tune-up time for your air conditioning system. Whether you have an attic system, a ductless wall mount system, or even a conventional central air conditioning unit attached to your furnace, call Turnbull today to schedule your appointment to save energy and money. If you need a new system, Turnbull can provide a free estimate to meet your comfort needs and budget. Call Turnbull today, 343-2005.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
In Avon and Livingston County, call 226-6180.
The Challenger Miracle Field of Greater Rochester would like to thank everyone who supported the construction of Monroe County's first specialized cushioned athletic field and pavilion, specifically designed to be safer and more accessible for children and adults with special needs. But they're not done yet. The last phase of this exciting project is to finish the construction of their barrier-free playground. So please consider helping those with special needs realize their dreams by giving back to the community and supporting this great cause. Visit rochestermiraclefield.org today. That's rochestermiraclefield.org.
Schofield's Farrier Service, a professional local horseshoeing and trimming business for equines of all sizes, including mules and donkeys, serving Orleans, Genesee, and western Monroe counties. Call Matthew at 585-490-3960. Schofield's Farrier Service.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're talking about the EU and how after the Charlie Hebdo terror attack in 2015, they imposed the European Firearms Directive, which placed new constraints, including basically an effective ban on most semi-automatic rifles on member states. And I have here, right from the EU website, some of this stuff. It says a ban of certain semi-automatic firearms. These include automatic firearms transferred into semi-automatic firearms, long semi-automatic firearms of length less than 60 centimeters, long semi-automatic firearms with loading devices of more than 10 rounds, and short semi-automatic firearms with a loading device of more than 20 rounds. Then they have things, regulation of acoustic weapons. They have different things for museums, collectors, stricter conditions for online acquisitions of firearms, and it goes on and on and on. You know, it sounds a lot like New York State's SAFE Act when I read it. So, not a fan. Not a fan at all.
I can imagine if it's anything like the SAFE Act, you wouldn't be. But isn't it interesting how all the gun grabbers all tend to collaborate and come up with similar narratives about, the safety or lack thereof of firearms?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so what happened is this got pushed out by the EU with an expected compliance date of 2019. So there must be some sort of leeway here as to when these other member states have to comply, and only one country in the EU fought it, and that was Czech Republic. So they started in court, I guess, going that route, and they were not successful with their court case. They lost the challenge last year. So what has come up, though, is they had a bill that was initially put through their lower house a couple of years ago when all this started, and it passed through. It stopped in the upper house. My guess is because of the court litigation, they thought maybe it wasn't going to be necessary. I'm not really sure. Well, things have turned around a little bit. They're bringing it back up. It sounds like they are going to bring it now before their upper house. The current elected government just announced that they support the legislation. It looks like they have enough votes to pass it, and they've also got like other support as well. Like their former president of the Czech police has been like a very vocal supporter of the bill. He says it's meant to counter the disarmament tendencies of the European Union, and it sounds like a worthwhile cause. So they're getting a lot of support for this. I've got a little piece of the language of the bill, which starts off with the right to defend one's own life or the life of another person with a weapon is guaranteed under the conditions laid down by this law.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So here's the thing. This could be kind of a problem for anybody who supports gun control. And the reason is Czech Republic has a long-standing history of firearm ownership in their country. They have a vibrant gun culture. And since 1999, the number of firearms in civilian hands has been steadily increasing. It has not gone down.
Well, I imagine that after all the repression of the communist years, that there's a hunger for people to own and have firearms, which I'm sure were prohibited when the commies were in charge.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing that's really interesting about is even during communist times, it was Czechoslovakia at the time, they were a big manufacturer of firearms. So they knew and understood the importance of them. They weren't allowed to have them.
Yeah, explosives too. They were big on explosives. They developed Semtex.
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So now that they have this freedom and they understand how important it is, more and more civilians are purchasing and owning this. So it is rising in the country. But at the same time, Czech Republic is one of the safest countries, not just in the EU, but in the world.
Bingo. That's where I was going next. I was going to say, and I'll bet the carjackings are a lot less there too.
Yeah, they are. And Prague is rated one of the safest cities in Europe. So this really just clashes with the gun control narrative that if you have guns, things are going to be dangerous. You know, you have to get rid of guns on the street so that criminals can't run rampant. Well, here you've got Czech Republic, where they're one of the safest countries in the world, yet gun ownership is still continuously on the rise. They have gun manufacturers. They're arming some of the nation's militaries with their manufacturing. But they're safe. And not only that, they're looking to enhance the liberties and the freedoms of their constituents instead of restricting them.
Well, let's see. We have a peaceful, ordered society. We have low crime, safe cities. Why wouldn't you want more of that?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
What you do is you do tailor your actions to encourage the results which you want. Exactly the opposite of what's happening in the great state of New York.
Yeah. So I think if we were to, compare this to New York State and other states in the United States and people who are running campaigns on gun control and they're running it on, fear and statistics that fit their narrative because they don't include all of the information, we can look at this and say, we're seeing the same thing here in the United States too. We're seeing that places with less crime and lower crime rates are the places that have higher firearm ownership, but it's not being as emphasized. Well, here we can look at one of the safest countries in the world and see the same exact thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. It had a nice little tie home to us, being the Ilanas from Czech Republic, and was just kind of like really awesome to see that there's at least one country out there. Hopefully there's more, but at least there's one that is saying, you know what, we can't restrict people's right to defend themselves. Firearm ownership needs to be protected. We need more laws protecting individual rights, not more laws restricting people's rights.
So let me ask you, I got to ask this question because you've been over the Czech Republic numerous times, fairly recently too, aren't you? Like 6 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I was there, but summer last August,
maybe last summer, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
But let me just ask, so when you go over there and you talk to the Czech people and, you're from the U.S., do they say to you, what's going on with you people? Are you nuts?
Sometimes they do. Yeah. It depends on the topic. It certainly depends on the topic. But yeah, there's times that we get that. The thing that they think is the absolute funniest thing about Americans, that they make fun of us for constantly. And I think they just passed the same law. So next time I go over there, I'm going to lay it in them real good. But they laugh at us constantly that to drink in public, you have to have your beverage in a brown paper bag. That is their number one, poking fun at the Americans that if you're walking down the street, you can't just have a cold beer while you're walking down the street. But I think I saw that they just passed a law in Prague or something like that where the beverage container has to be covered there too. So certainly next time I go over there, I'm gonna bring it right back to them on that one. But to their point, it's such a silly law. Like, why would you have to have your beverage container covered if you're drinking alcohol? It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. Guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Cuomo's now blaming the media for the numbers of COVID cases in Florida and Arizona. We're going to talk about that when we come back on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Bob, we finally figured out why COVID numbers are going up.
Why would that be?
Because people are reading the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would make sense.
Yeah. So when you read it, even if it's digital, because, viruses, there are digital viruses. That's what causes the increase in COVID-19 rates.
So it just goes like through the air and like through your I don't know, your Wi-Fi, then into your router, and then it just like the little COVID cooties come right out of your keyboard and they get on you.
Must be, or maybe like the speakers just kind of like spray it on you. You're not protecting your Ethernet ports. You probably don't have secure Wi-Fi. That's got to be it.
Got to mask your computer, folks.
Yep, got to put the mask on the computer because Cuomo is now blaming the rise in COVID numbers in Florida and Arizona on the New York Post, and I think he blamed the numbers in Texas on the Wall Street Journal. or something like that.
Sure, because listen, Wall Street's in Texas. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, sure. So this is just kind of like one of those things that I don't know, on a scale of 1 to bizarre, where's this where's this land, compared to like the poster?
Well, it's
that
more
they
than
just
one.
put out?
Cuomo's got a real problem with the Post lately, because not only is he accusing you of getting Cuomo cooties off of their website, but also he says that the Post is waging a partisan attack on him because all they did was ask whether he would support an independent probe of his nursing home deaths in New York during the coronavirus pandemic. So the quote from Headcase, Andy Cuomo was when he was asked by this Post reporter about that. He said, "I don't believe your categorization is correct. I believe it's a political issue. I think it's the New York Post. I think it's Michael Goodwin. I think it's Bob McManus," he said, referring to 2 Post columnists. "I think it's Fox TV. I think it's all politically motivated. If anybody looked at the facts, they would know it's wholly absurd on its face." Well, no, it's not. There's a lot of deaths in U.S. nursing homes. In New York nursing homes, and the critics are from everywhere in the U.S., not just here.
Yeah, and I think that this is important to emphasize, because I watched at least one of the briefings where somebody, and I'm not sure where, which publication they were representing, but I believe it was a woman, had asked and said, "Are you going to allow an independent investigation of these numbers?" And Cuomo said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what he said, but the spirit of what he said was, no, because we already know that what I did was right.
Yeah.
And she said, I forget what her question was, and he said, "Well, those accusations aren't based on the facts. We already have the facts because we already did an investigation."
And if it comes out of my pie hole, it's a fact.
Yeah. And so she was like, "But that's your investigation. We want an independent investigation." And he closed down and he's like, "I'm leaving. I'm going," and got up and left. And, I'm paraphrasing some of this stuff. You guys can go and watch it. But that was the spirit. That's how I felt it went watching there, where he was like, "Here's the facts." And somebody's like, "Well, but these are the facts according to you. Like, I would like to verify." "Yeah, but I've already given you the facts." "Yeah, but the facts are to defend yourself," which totally,
Yes,
that's the purpose of having an independent review is
in the law, it's called self-serving.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I don't know if that person was from the Post or not, but I remember watching that live as it was happening and thinking, wow, like, if this guy didn't have something to hide, it would be easy for him to say, yeah, you can do an independent study. Or if he had even like an inkling or like a tap on the people in the community, at bare minimum, he could have said, "Well, we could do an independent study, but could you imagine what that could cost the taxpayers? Like, we don't have money right now." Like, he could have even tried to dodge it that way and probably gathered support by answering it that way from his typical loyal followers. Like, "Yeah, you're asking us to waste government money." But he didn't even do that. He was like, "No, I am the facts."
He's just incensed by the fact that somebody is challenging him, because he's not to be challenged. He really, listen. He's got bigger things in mind here. Friday, he also had a little, what I would call Freudian slip, or maybe some might, if you really believed in that sort of thing. He nearly referred to himself as President Cuomo, which is enough to make your blood run cold. So he was being asked at a coronavirus press briefing in Albany about the federal government's abandonment of its lawsuit banning New Yorkers from being included in the federally run Trusted Traveler program. And he said, "Why didn't you listen to Andrew Cuomo?" The governor forced to quickly correct himself when he said 11 times there are other states that have green light laws.
Yeah.
President Cuomo. Oh, my God.
Don't make me pack up my bags and go Czech Republic, Bob.
God help us.
Yeah, no, President Cuomo is a nightmare. And actually, if you want to see what a Cuomo presidency would look like, you could just look at the billions of dollars in deficit that New York State is currently in, the restrictions on businesses saying that they can't open, they can't have certain people working, all of this other stuff. And then when that causes a problem, he points at the federal government and says it's their problem, which there have been things that the federal government has done wrong. I'm not defending the federal government either, but what I'm saying is Cuomo takes no responsibility for his own actions and his own decisions and his own policies. And now, when things are running awry, he just finds anybody to blame for anything. Um, so his latest thing is attacking the media outlets and saying, I've got his quote here. He says, Florida listened to the New York Post, Texas listened to Wall Street Journal, Arizona listened to Wall Street Journal and the New York Post. That was wrong. That was wrong. And he says, the Wall Street Journal, New York Post, they continue to beat a dead horse that is dead. We should reopen the economy faster in New York. The infection rate is low. Reopen faster. Cuomo ranted on, basically saying they're wrong. He's right. And the thing is, I'm in agreement. I think we should be opening up the economy. I don't think we should have ever shut it down the way we did to begin with. And here's the thing. He's constantly looking at the infection rates in these states, but I looked it up this morning, and the death toll in Florida is less for their entire state than the death toll in New York just in the nursing homes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And where does Cuomo get off telling bars that they have to serve food? You want to go there and have a beer, sit and watch, a little bit of a game. Not that there's many that you can watch these days, but you want to just have a beer at the you got to have food. Why is that up to government to decide whether you should have food or not? It's just this nanny state perspective.
Yeah, I think it's maybe one of two things. One, to drive up sales tax. So because they're hurting so bad. So they're like, if people are going to go out, we're going to force them to spend more money. Why? So government can collect more money. And then the other thing is just to stick it to people to make them to spend more money that they clearly don't have, because government has restricted them. So just keeping the lockdown on people. And he threatened before, too. This was last week, I think. He said, well, I said restaurants can open. I never said bars can open. And he was threatening that the liquor, the New York State liquor license body, whoever manages that, would start pulling liquor licenses from bars. So it's just a complete power trip at this point, and just constantly trying to grip and hold on to more and more control.
Right. I don't think that even Cuomo has any illusions about getting people to spend money they don't have on food that they don't want. It's not going to happen. That's the irony of the whole thing. And they're going to find ways around this mandate as well. And if not, they just won't go to bars anymore. Not that Andy Cuomo cares, because he's never run a business. And as far as he's concerned, the more people are needy and dependent on government, the better he likes it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that the next thing that we're going to see out of this, if it hasn't started already, is we know that the federal unemployment stimulus is running out. And we know that there's something in the wings to extend it, which is only going to create more debt, by the way. But that's a whole different episode there. But Cuomo's going to sit there shouting from the rooftops that the federal government has failed and isn't supporting the people if they aren't paying out more and more unemployment to these people who are unemployed directly due to Cuomo's executive order. So just let that one sink in. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Radio Free New York. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.